Everyone's trip's going to be different, so don't let that put you off, but use it as a learning curve. Things will break. Carry some tools, carry some spare parts. G'day everyone, Adam here, Going Overland. This week's video is about all the breakages we had on our trip around Australia. Now this video is to educate you, just to let you know like what can go wrong. Previous trips we had no issues at all. So when we did Cape York, Simpson Desert, those were mini trips. And you know, nothing ever went wrong on those trips. We did a lot of preparation work beforehand, and afterwards you would get home, you do all your repairs. So for 6 months it was a huge trip, and it's not like you can just go home and, you know, get some repairs done. You have to do it on the road. Probably one of the biggest fears for me on this trip was having the 30-year-old patrol, and just knowing with metal fatigue, age, you know, things can break. Luckily the patrol held up really well. A lot of the aftermarket gear and even the new gear broke, and the original equipment just held up really well. So this video is about having your mind space ready, your mind set ready I should say, thinking what could go wrong with your car and your trailer, having those tools and the skills to get you out of trouble, and yeah, just what could go wrong, you know, things that you wouldn't even think of could happen. Alright guys, so I hope you liked the video. Make sure you give us a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, because we got some good stuff coming too. How you going? I want to talk to you this week about all the breakages we had on our lap around Australia, our half lap. Just keep in mind, we did this in over 6 months, and prior to that we did the other half of Australia over a couple of years. Beautiful spot here on the Dar River. Got the sun setting there, the moon rising over there. Got a list here in front of me. We're a couple of days from home, so I'm pretty sure on the highway nothing else will break. Fingers crossed. Knock on wood. I probably cursed myself there. All right, let's get into this week's video.
My heart was broken.
All right, got Larissa here joining me for this. So
oh, you want me to join you?
Oh, that's in my ear. Okay, so I got it sort of in order from what broke first, and sort of where they broke and maybe what caused it, and you know, anything else like that. So the first thing to let go was only a week from home, and the brand new power steering pump and brand new hose. When a lot of people saw that video, it was on the Plenty Highway. We had to call from the sat phone. I got the parts shipped up to Alice Springs. It was a nightmare. By the end of it, power steering fluid was pouring out of it. We're putting in I don't know, 100 mils a day, which doesn't sound like a lot, but when it's spraying all over the engine bay, it's a lot. So got a custom hose made up. They sent out another one, and we'll talk to you guys about that soon. One thing I do have to mention, guys, on this trip we have done about 28,000 kilometers, and about 8,000 to 9,000 of those kilometers have been on hard, rough roads. Really rough, not your ordinary roads. And that's where most of the damage has occurred, on those rough roads. On the highway we seem to have no damage, but after those rough roads, these problems are cropping up. So look, every trip's going to be different around Australia. Depends on your trip and what you want to do. We really want to hit these remote places, these hard to get places where you need a tough setup, an off-road setup, and we loved every minute of it. Even though it's a fair bit of pain, the reward was outstanding. Loved it. Number 2, the auxiliary fuel tank. So that broke after the Fink road, really bad road. We had the fuel tank pretty much full for most of it because I didn't know where we'd get fuel next. And what I should have done is transfer that fuel gradually into the main tank. So the front mount cracked and broke. Big shout out to Rob for fixing that down at Air Sprints. Number 3, just a minor thing, the light on the bar, and the rear door, spare wheel mount. Okay, just the metal fatigue from that, and it just cracked. Because it's up high, it pivots a lot, so a lot of shaking around. Easy fix when we get home. Might add a couple extra support brackets on that. Number 4, the exhaust mount, that broke probably from the Fink track as well. Just the front mount. We've wired it up a few times, just keeps breaking, so when I get home I'll weld it up and put a rubber mount in there. Number 5, the windscreen. Now it didn't break on a dirt road, it actually broke on the highway. We hit it was actually a ute coming the other way, bounced up the bonnet and bang, hit the bottom of the windscreen. I glued it up with one of those kits from Super Cheap. It's lasted the rest of the trip, has not spread. So those little kits you can get from Super Cheap, I definitely recommend throwing one of those in your kit. Transfer case seal, let go. I think I checked it, there's too much fluid in there. So perhaps when I get home, I'll lower that fluid level a little bit. Maybe it won't leak as much. It's not a big leak because it's still above the plug hole, but it might be something we have to look at in the future. Number 7, the glove box lock broke. It was a pain. I didn't know how to keep the glove box shut. I didn't want to have cords and stuff and elastic straps and all that. So put a bolt and a wing nut on there. Simple fix. Number 8, the rear tyre on the trailer. It blew. Big thanks to Mitch and Maddie for pulling up and helping us with that. But we got stuck at Steep Point, dropped the tyres down to 14 PSI all around to get up this sandy track, and straight after that it was a sharp rocky sort of crop out thing, and you had to go across it, and I cut the sidewall. We saw it there at Steep Point. It did me back, hurt me back. I was in such agony, and it sort of slipped my mind. The moment we sort of pumped it up onto highway pressure, 20 k's down the road, it blew. So, you know, maybe a bit of our fault rather than the tyre fault. Number 10, I've got Anderson plugs. Now, they've broken all throughout the trip. All the cheap ones have broken. We've got a couple of good ones from Nava, and I tell you, they're 10 bucks each, something like that. But those ones have not failed. The cheap ones, all the cheap ones have failed. And if they haven't failed yet, they're cracking and they're sort of, the terminals are loose, and sometimes we're not getting proper charge. So look, I know you can get cheap ones on eBay, cheap ones from Super Cheap, but there's a difference in the plastic between the cheap ones and the expensive ones. So we've been buying expensive ones, bit by bit replacing them. We've had between 6 and 10 replaced. Number 11, along the gib, we had a puncher on the BFG Goodrich. Just one puncher the whole trip. We've always let our tyres down on the dirt roads and the rocks when we've had some really bad rocks. So, look, to have one puncher the whole trip, I can't complain at the BF Goodrich. First time we've ever run them. My old man used to run them, and that's why I bought them. I knew how good they were on his four-wheel drive. Really happened, especially the tread wear. They barely look like they've been used at all, tread-wise, depth-wise, but you can see a lot of stone damage on them. Number 12, another Gib River Road problem. The magnet in the trailer brakes, they sort of float there, and when you hit your brake pedal, it sends a signal to the brake magnet, that powers on, and it sticks onto the drum that's spinning, and then that gives pressure on the brakes. When you don't have it on, that magnet just floats there. And on the Gib with all those corrugations, instead of just floating there, it's rattling around like this. And by the end of it, the little cross piece in the magnet was so flogged out, instead of just moving a little bit, it's going clunk, 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 clunk like that. And that just flogged out big time, which caused a problem down at Wolf Creek, if you remember that episode. Something happened and it either spat something out or something come out of alignment. That brake seized on, and it's so lucky I had one of the kids sitting on my lap driving super slow, because if I was driving and I was doing 80 kilometers an hour, it could have caught fire, who knows. So the brakes on that side, we gutted the lot at Wolf Creek, whole new backing plate. We got one from Cruise Master Center. It's been fantastic. Easy, bolt in, bolt out. That was simple. I had to re-grease all the bearings. I put a whole new bearing set in at the same time. That was probably more fiddly than changing the brakes over. Number 13 was also a Cruise Master product. We got brand new heavy duty shocks, and look, 38 degrees day in day out on the gib, and it was the driver's side shock failed. And what I think that is when you can find the smooth patch on the corner, on the edge of the road, we were taking it, so it's a little bit, the shock could cool down. The driver's side copped the flogging, it did. It was just so hot, and I reckon the seal just failed from that. Probably not a product fail. This year, they reckon the gib was the worst it's ever been, speaking to a lot of locals. Mom. And look, for anything to tolerate that sort of punishment, it's a big call, big ask. So, yeah, just that one shock. The other side was fine, and it's still fine now. Are you right, Joe?
My towel's in the dirt.
Your towel's in the dirt?
Oh, come out, pick it up. Yeah?
Okay, so also on the gib, we had one of the door locks on the trailer break. I just think from constant use. And one of the roof latches, it broke as well. Easy fix, they just pop riveted on. Carry a pop rivet gun in an assortment of sizes. We do, we always carry it. And I'm glad we did, because not only did those locks break, we also had the roof lifter pop rivet break at the start of the gib, and the fire extinguisher mount, it also broke the pop rivets. Number 15 on the list. It's a big list, guys. No, actually, it's not that big, considering how much punishment we went through. Okay, number 15 was the wheel alignment on the trailer. They just worked loose, those bolts for the wheel alignment. It's sort of a cam bolt. Threw the tyre out, and because I was worrying about all these other problems, I missed it. I just didn't catch it in time. And it's worn the inside edge of one of the tyres on the trailer, and it's stuffed the tyre. It should be just enough tread to get home, and then when we get home, I'll swap those tyres out. I want to put wider ones on to match the Patrol, because it floats better in sand with the wider tyres. Okay, the next item is the power steering pump again. I sent out a brand new power steering pump, and I said on video, I said, this is the same batch, I bet we'll have the same problem. It lasted a lot longer than I thought, but it was pouring out again by the end of it. They sent out a new pump. This one's got a slightly different setup, where it's a new pump with the original Nissan reservoir. Apparently they reckon that's fixed the problem. So fingers crossed I don't have any more power steering pump issues, because that's two. Okay, the next item was after the gib as well. We went to fill up the auxiliary fuel tank, and I'm at the servo and I can hear fluid trickling onto the ground. Had a look, and it was us. The hose clamp for the auxiliary tank rubbed on the cross member, caused that hose clamp to break. Probably let a little bit of dust into the tank, but the main thing is when you were filling it up, the fuel was coming out. Not a lot, but just enough. So is the stuff around refitting that hose and the new clamp, but something we did in the parking lot at Woolworths. The next item is also that auxiliary fuel tank. It's given us a few issues. We did buy this tank second hand. It came out of a petrol vehicle. There might be a little bit of rust in the bottom of that because it was a petrol car, but the rear mount on it also cracked and had a slight leak, and one of the welds under that mount also cracked and had a slight leak. I think that weld cracked because it had a lot of stone damage by the end of it. We put some putty on there, and it has stopped the leak, except for when the tank or the fuel in the tank heats up during the middle of the day and it pressurizes. So what I've been doing is just letting that cap open on the filler, getting that pressure out, and we haven't had a drama. I've still been using the tank. When we get home, we'll rip it out and get it welded up again, or I'll try and source out a new tank for it. You can see the sun's really starting to set now, so I better hurry up. What's next? The trailer bubble on the to get it level, the trailer bubble on the drawbar, that broke. Maybe a stone chip, I don't know. But one day there's a bubble there, next day it's gone. So carry a spare trailer bubble if you can, they're only cheap. All right, the next item. Okay, we did not have much camping gear break on this trip. We bought new chairs, new tables, some new cookware. But one of the items, man, we bought a whole heap of new super pegs because I know how good they are. Look, you can't get them all around Australia from what we've found. We got them in Brisbane and they are fantastic. Some of the ground we're hitting into was so hard. I don't know, I'm a carpenter, so I'm good with the claw hammer, and I was bashing these pegs in. But eventually the top of them compressed that much they cracked. So we had about 4 super pegs fail, but we had 6 to 10 cheap pegs just bend instantly, like within the first month, and they went in the bin. So look, if you can get super pegs, definitely get the good ones, the strong ones, because around Australia, it's not like if you're at home, like on the eastern side where you got nice soil. In WA, you have some hard stuff to hammer into, and you got the strong wind too, so you need to get those pegs in right. So super pegs. The next item I want to talk to you is stone chips. We have a stone guard on the trailer, extended mud flaps, and look, we copped a lot of stone damage on the rear doors and also some of the bottom of the doors as well on the car. On the back of the car we have Perspex guards for the windows, which paid off. They're only cheap. I made them from Bunnings material. Took me maybe an hour. They got heavy duty Velcro, so I can take them off when we get home. They have warped in the sun and the heat of the Northern Territory, but we've got no window damage. But there's lots of stone damage on the back of the car. So that paint job's 15 years old, so she's probably due for a respray anyway. Okay, number 23, the GoPro 9. Look, the GoPro 9 has been fantastic, but unfortunately on the back of it, the kids, when they're playing in one of the water holes, put it on a rock when they're climbing up, cracked the rear screen. The next week, we were still swimming with it actually, and it didn't, luckily, water didn't get into the thing. The next week, we were filming outside the car, stone hit that rear screen and cracked it again. So you probably noticed we've been using the GoPro 5 in the water holes. A little bit more shaky footage. I would like to upgrade that 5 for a 9 because with the Hypersmooth, they're fantastic. So hopefully under warranty we can get that replaced because we got the GoPro subscription. So fingers crossed we can get that replaced for nothing. Another thing that broke was Larissa's phone. It was dropped so many times. We were going to buy the expensive Samsung, but she mistakenly bought the cheaper one. She just named it the wrong thing, the A21 instead of the S21. Luckily, because it's been dropped so many times, the screen is shattered, still working, but when she goes home, she's got her old Samsung she can use for a while. Alright, 2 more items. Number 25, the horn mount broke. I don't know how. It was rubbing on the aircon condenser on the front. Luckily, it didn't rub through. Just from metal fatigue. So we just drilled it out, bolted it back on. Sounds really weird right now, but we've got a horn to get us home, so we're all roadworthy. And the last item to break was the solar panel we carry on the roof racks on the front. Another stone chip. Another stone flew up, hit the panel, shattered the whole panel. And once again, it would have happened on the bitumen. So, look, that panel's a few years old, so no big loss there. But there you have it. That's all the damage. 26 items, 6 months, 30,000 kilometers. No, a bit under 30,000 kilometers, sorry. Rough roads. Look, everyone's trip's going to be different, so don't let that put you off, but use it as a learning curve. Things will break. Carry some tools, carry some spare parts. Oh, another item I forgot. Oh yeah, just after, on the gear, the main tank on the Patrol, the bash plate broke. Strapped it up and it rubbed through the trailer lights, or the rear lights to the passenger side. So I had to rewire that up. So yeah, make sure you carry some wire, some soldering iron, heat shrink, all that stuff. Yeah, carry some tools because you will have breakages. Look, 30-year-old Patrol, it's done a full lap of Australia now. How's it handled it? Look, if you took the auxiliary fuel tank issue out and the power steering pump issue out, it's had a hell of a run. It's fantastic. Like, can't fault it, mate. It starts up every morning. And a lot of the cars, modern cars, are so reliable. Look, so I'm sure you cars out there will handle a lap of Australia. Just make sure, you know, everything's up to scratch. So we threw new bearings on it, new shocks, new brakes, new clutch because that was a bit dodgy after Cape York. If you have any problems or any inclination that a part might be a bit old or a bit dodgy, change it before you go, because having downtime on a lap of Australia is a waste of time. Get it done before you leave. Carry some spare parts on things that might break, some small things, but not heavy things. We put a new water pump in there before we left. Yeah, all new parts throughout it, so look, we could have minimal downtime, and we did. Apart from having to change those power steering pumps, we picked up a spare tyre really easy in the next town. Very minimal downtime, which is fantastic. We haven't lost time because we've been out exploring all the days, every day, which is what you want to do on a big lap. You don't want to be stuck in a town waiting for spare parts, waiting for a mechanic, because some of them for the aircon. Did I say the aircon pulley? I might have missed that one. We're up to nearly number 30 in the items. The aircon pulley seized. Look, we had a whole new system put in there. Really regret they didn't change that pulley. Maybe I should have told them, hey, make sure you change the pulley. I didn't think about it. But the one thing that they didn't change, and the bearing seized. It's a $12 bearing. I fixed that myself. We had it regassed, and that wasn't the issue. But there was a 2-week wait for the aircon guy, so we had to book them 2 weeks in advance. Luckily, we got the timing right. Alright guys, that's enough from me. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you again next week. I'm sure I'll have another video out. I don't know what yet. If you want to know anything about a big lap, put it in the comments. Yeah, mate, this is the best country in the world to travel, and I can't wait to fix this old girl up again when we get home and get ready for another trip. Alright, thanks guys. Let's get out of here.